What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Voltage and Villains podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Phoenix.
And I'm your second host, Moira.
And today we're going to be covering the murder case of Dennis and Marilyn DePue.
DePue.
Yeah. Do you remember the movie Jeepers Creepers?
Yes.
Okay.
You made me watch it, even though I didn't want to watch scary movies.
Which one was the scariest to you? Well, do you remember? All right. Do you remember what the first one was about?
Yes, it was something about the school bus and something like that.
No,
I just don't.
So the second one was the school bus.
Oh, okay.
So the first one, I'm just gonna refresh your memory.
Okay.
We're not gonna go over the third and the fourth and maybe potentially the fifth that they made because I don't think that those ones were anywhere as good
and accurate. But
so
yes.
The first one was about a brother and a sister. So Trish and Daryl, I believe his name was. Yeah, Trish and Daryl. And they were in college. They were going back home during spring break to visit their mom. And while they were on the road driving, remember it was like a 2-lane road or like a 1 or 2-lane road.
Yes.
They're driving down and then this really big truck rolls up behind them and then basically is riding their bumper, scaring the hell out of them. Then it turns, it passes them and they read the license plate and they're like beating you. Was on the license. They were, what the hell is that? And then later on, it passes them by like a long shot. And then later on down the road, they see that same truck and they're like, it's like by like a church or a school.
Oh, hell no.
And they're like, yo, what the heck? And then they see the figure dumping what looks like a body down like a chute.
Oh, yes, I remember now. Okay.
And
yes,
then they're like, whoa, what the hell was that? And then the figure even turns and looks at them.
Because I heard them talking or something like that.
Well, I don't think he heard them, but like, I mean, he was Jeepers Creepers supernatural, so he probably did hear them. But no, he just saw them driving by. He saw them, and he knows that they saw him dumping the body down the chute. But after they saw that, remember, they went back. They went back because the brother Daryl was like, no, I really want to know what the hell he put down there.
I want to know what he was
dumping. They went back. Looked down the hole.
Horrible mistake.
He accidentally falls down the hole and discovers this entire layer of like human bodies all stitched together and stuff.
Oh my!
And because he was down there, you know, he left. The creeper comes back, knows that somebody was down there because he could smell his scent and stuff. And then he basically spends the rest of the movie chasing after them.
him, and then they're running away.
Yeah. If you have not seen the movie. It is a cult classic. Go watch the movie. That movie terrified me when I was 5 years old with my older brother.
It terrified me when I watched it and I was like, what, 18, 19, 20, something? I don't know.
Yeah, when did I show that to you? Like a few years ago I showed it to you.
Yeah, exactly. And it still terrified me at that age. So.
That movie is still terrifying to me to this day as a 28-year-old. So that movie, that beginning scene that I just described is actually based on a actual true crime that happened.
Oh, no.
And here's the creepiest part.
Bumper?
No, even more sinister than that. And if you show, we're gonna put up the picture side by side of Dennis DePue and the creeper, Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah,
they look identical.
Oh hell no!
So that's how a lot of people they started looking at the movie. They looked at the events that happened in this case that we're about to get into, and they looked at the photo and they were like, "Yo, This
is not loosely. It is based on this.
Yeah, like the first scene, and you're gonna hear why. Wow. Right? So
let's get into it.
It's Easter Sunday.
Okay.
1990.
We're approaching Easter, so
yeah, we always
the anniversary is coming up.
We always end up covering these cases around the time that they happen, and that's not on purpose. That's not on purpose at all. Creepy. If you're listening, so it's Easter Sunday, 1990. And a couple named Ray and Marie Thornton are driving down this road. It's like Prairie Road in Michigan. And they're driving down this road and a Chevy comes up behind them and passes them very quickly. And they used to play this game where they would read the license plates and they would come up with a phrase from the license plate.
That's kind of cool. That's a cool game to play.
It's a cool little game.
And we're going to start to play that game when we take road trips.
Yeah. And remember, this is the 90s. They don't have like podcasts to listen to in the car.
Yeah,
I mean,
the radio was probably very like,
but you know, you might get bored with the radio and you play these games. So they're driving and a Chevy pulls up behind them, just like in the Jeepers Creepers movies, right? So I'm going to constantly keep referencing back to the movie. So just the same way in the movie, Daryl and Trish are driving down this lone road and this big truck pulls up behind them. The same thing happens to Marie and Ray and Marie Thornton while they're driving down this road, and it's a van, it's a Chevy van, pulls up behind them quickly and goes around them and speeds off.
No.
Now the license plate said like GZ, and it was like GZ something something something. So Marie makes a joke and makes up a phrase and says, "Geez, that guy was in a rush." And so they laugh about it and they keep it going.
Right.
Couple miles down the road, they see that van again, and it's parked outside of this abandoned school church house. And they see the truck that they saw before, and they see a man with what looks like a blood-stained sheet or a comforter.
Oh my goodness.
And
Bloodstained?
Yeah, but that's the thing. From afar, you're driving, you can't necessarily tell with your eyes that that's necessarily blood.
Yeah.
Right? That could be anything that's on it. But you would know what a bloodstained sheet kind of looks like. So their mind, they're like, yo, that's a bloodstained sheet. And like, he looks like he's trying to like get rid of it. He looks like he's trying to like throw it down the chute. Just like in the movie of Jeepers Creepers, when they drive by like the school
and he was dumping the body.
And he was dumping the body. It looked just like that, but they didn't see a body. Right. They just saw a blanket. Right. So they're like, yo, that's weird. We're not sticking around here. We're going to keep it pushing.
That's real shady, especially back then. Like, what, the 90s? There were barely any cell phones around, right?
Yeah.
If you had a cell phone, it was probably a luxury.
Yeah.
So imagine seeing that.
Yeah.
And then, like, you're like, yeah, I should probably stop and be a good Samaritan. Psych.
Yeah.
How are you going to call the cops?
Yeah. Nowadays, you'd probably pull over. Nowadays, Gen Z, you pull out your phone and instantly start recording. But back then they couldn't. So they're like, all right, hell no, we're going to keep it pushing.
I don't blame them.
So they keep it pushing. Mm-hmm. And they reach a couple miles down the road now. Just like in, Jeepers Creepers, the movie. They keep it pushing. They're like, what the hell was that? Then that same van that drove and sped past them the first time, and the same van that they saw parked outside of the church where the guy was holding up that bloodstained comforter, is now speeding up behind them and trails on their bumpers super heavy. Just like in the movie Jeepers Creepers when he trailed Trish and Daryl real close. The van gets hella close and he does this for miles.
Wait, my question is though, hold on. Pause.
Yeah.
My question is, I understand the movie Jeepers Creepers because Jeepers Creepers is like a supernatural creature, right? Mm-hmm. What is this man that is trailing behind them trying to do? Bump them? Or skid them off the road? What's the plan?
So that's the thing. We don't know. We don't know why he did it.
But I'm just trying to think in terms of like criminals, right? I'm trying to think like a criminal.
Like okay, like
why would I do that? Why would I trail this person? Like I would just run them off the road. Just immediately.
I mean, even at that point, like, what's your purpose of running them off the road? That makes you look more suspicious.
Well, because they're witnesses that they saw some.
If that's the case, then you should be trying to kill them, I guess.
But that's my point. What is trailing them in their back bumper gonna do?
Exactly, that's the point. So I don't know.
That's just me.
I don't know what he was up to. But he starts trailing them. He does this for miles. Eventually, they swerve off the road. And when they look back, he's pulled over on the side, still at the intersection where they swerved off. So they go, being brave Samaritans, they go, no. We're going to go back. And we're going to figure out what the hell this guy was up to. We want to see. So they drive back. When they get back to the van, they see a man trying to change his license plate. And his passenger side door is wide open. And there's blood all on the inside of the passenger side door. So they go, oh, yeah, this guy's up to no good.
Yeah.
No good. So
you see, that's my point. He should have been trying to get rid of whatever evidence he had instead of trailing them in the back.
I mean,
do you see my point?
Yeah, and so it doesn't. When I looked it up, it doesn't say like that he tried to do anything else.
Okay.
He was just trailing them, and then they swerved off. And then when they went back, they saw that clearly he's trying to clean up whatever the situation was. So they when they go back and they see this, they go, no. So the fact that they saw blood on the door, they go, no. This has to be the blood. So now we know for a fact that we saw blood on that comforter. So they go back to the abandoned school that they saw. Same thing, just like in the Jeepers Creepers movie, Daryl and Trish, they go back. They go back and they get to the it's like an abandoned church school. And they see, like he had basically failed at dumping this down an animal hole. And it was blood that was on the comforter and everything. So they go and they're like, no, we got to call the cops. So they leave, they speed off and they call the cops. So now the cops are going out there to investigate what he was doing. What this couple says they saw. Now, let's backtrack a little bit. So Dennis and Marilyn DePue were married for 18 years. They end up getting a divorce. And Dennis gets like visitation custody, like, you know how you share custody with your kids.
Yep.
So Dennis ends up going to the house. It's Easter Sunday. It's his time to take the kids. The kids don't want to go. For whatever reason, I don't know his backstory. I don't know if he was like abusive. I don't know if they just didn't like him. But for whatever reason, they didn't want to go. Dennis and Marilyn end up getting into an argument. Dennis ends up pushing Marilyn down the steps, injuring Marilyn. He then drags her into the car, but he tells the kids he's going to take her to the hospital. That's not what he ends up doing. But as they leave, one of the kids runs downstairs and calls 911. So now at this point, the police are searching
for them.
The police received 2 calls that day about the same man, but they don't know it's about the same man at this point. They just know, okay, we have this domestic violence situation over here, and we have this suspicious man in this Chevy thing over here, but they have yet to connect the two together to say that they're connected, that they're the same dude.
Right.
By the time they figure that out and they discover Marilyn's body the next day on the side of the road, and they discover the blanket behind the church, and they go, okay, this is Dennis DePue, who was her ex-husband.
Right.
So now we know who we're looking for. Dennis had already fled town. Dennis was out.
Yeah. What?
And Dennis went and started a whole new life.
Nah, boy.
In Texas. And for a whole year, Dennis is sending letters to his family and friends back home, citing like biblical things and basically trying to justify why he did what he did.
You can't justify what you did.
Yeah, but he's trying though.
No, yeah.
He's trying to justify it.
You can tell.
And, you know, he's basically saying, you know, she was trying to take me away from my family. She turned my family against me. She turned my kids against me. And he's citing like biblical things that can justify his actions.
Yeah.
So now you fast forward, and it's a whole year he does this. And then...
That's creepy. A whole year. You're away. You're nowhere to be found, but you're sending letters to your family and your kids justifying why you killed this
Well, I don't know if he sent it to his kids, but he definitely sent it to his family.
But to his family, yeah. But still, like, that's...
Yeah, that's like psychotic stuff.
No, it's creepy. It's like, all right, if you're going to flee and run away from this, then... Run away. Don't come back. Don't send letters.
Don't send letters.
Don't say nothing. Just move on with your life. But clearly, son had other issues going on because he was still sending letters.
I mean, he had to constantly keep probably thinking about what he did. Like, you kill somebody, you're going to be thinking about that shit every day. So Dennis, like I said, Dennis moved down to Texas. Dennis has a new girlfriend. Whole new life. He's now going by the name, not Dennis DePue. Let me find his name, his alias name, his Texas name.
His Texas name.
Hank Queen.
What?
Yeah. His name was Hank Queen.
I have so many questions.
So he started a whole new life under the name Hank Queen. Okay. So now for a whole year, everybody in Texas knows him as Hank Queen, even his current girlfriend. But then there's a show called Unsolved Mysteries, and they do a story on the crimes that Dennis did to his ex-wife. Oh. Dennis sees this episode and goes, I gotta get out of here before anyone notices. As he's packing up to leave.
Because his face is on it, right?
Yeah, his face is on it. They know it's Dennis DePue, and they go, he's definitely left town. He's probably going under a different alias, but here's how he looks. And you got to think, this is the 90s. You can't really change your appearance as much as you can now. No. Right? Yeah. So
max you could do is shave your head and shave your beard or mustache or grow a new one.
And so he sees the episode and he goes, "Oh, I gotta leave because everyone's looking for me now. Now this is international news."
He's a head ass.
So now he goes to start leaving, and the girlfriend's family saw the episode and they call the cops. The cops then start chasing Dennis, or Hank Queen. I'm gonna call him Dennis DePue.
Yes.
They start chasing Dennis. Dennis leads them on a crazy high-speed chase. He's even shooting at them. And I think they kind of corner him in Mississippi, and he ends up killing himself in the same van that it's suspected that he killed his ex-wife Marilyn in.
That is insane.
Yeah. So if you were to match up literally the events that happened up until he skipped town with the events that happened at the very beginning of the first Jeepers Creepers movie that kicked off the franchise, it's basically like 85% there.
Yeah. It's fully there for the most part, especially in the beginning. I don't know. I guess I just have so many questions as to why he would be upset that his wife is taking him away from his family, then kill his wife and take her away from her family, right? His kids, right? And then run away and send letters, right? And then kill himself to not be with his family. Like it just... we can't justify. We're not in the mind of a criminal, so obviously we can't. I'm not think trying about to justify it.
So yeah, if you line all this up, it lines up perfectly with the Jeepers Creepers things. The most freakiest thing to me though is how closely his face resembles the actual creeper. Though. You want to know what's another dark thing about that movie?
What?
The director of the movie Jeepers Creepers was made his first film, I think, around the time that case happened. And he got convicted of being basically a child molester of the kids that worked on set of his first movie. And he ended up going to prison. He got sentenced to 3 years, but he only served, I think, 15 months. And then when he got out, he got the funding and the backing from a hit director that made the movie The Godfather. And that's how they made this movie. But I just found it crazy that he did a crime around the time that this crime was happening. So who knows? He probably was like in prison, read about a crime that happened around the same time, saw that, and then used that as inspiration to make his next scary movie, but then like took it like 10 steps further. And that's how we got the Jeepers Creepers kickoff to the franchise. And then that's how, which is crazy because that's how we learned about the creeper. That's the first scene that you see when you learn about the creeper. But like, isn't it funny that like his name is like Jeepers Creepers, but then like the guy was a creep, like that was his crime.
Yes,
it's just weird that like I just
and
noticed
then the movie
that
is like it's like based on like kids, really. Like there's a lot of like kids and teenagers around.
Oh shit, yeah, that's true.
Yes, and the first one and the second one and the third one, all of them. Like that's just weird.
Yeah, it's all kids. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's all kids.
And then now that also goes to like not prove, but like continue like moving the story forward of how most of the people in Hollywood, not most of the people, but a lot of these producers and people who run these shows are weirdos. That was really creepy. But if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you drop a like down below and drop some comments of other crimes that you would like us to cover.
And that's it. Until next time, guys, take care.
Bye.